fan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a fan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a Rattleage in Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Eddie the dog. No, your actual host, Robert Winfrey. Yay!
Yeah, everyone, welcome to... There's going to be an odd show tonight because I don't know what we're doing. I didn't think there was a show tonight. Mark, just about 30, 40 minutes ago, started messaging me, hey, get on the... I'd asked him in the weeks leading up what we were doing, and he wouldn't get back to me. Or Facebook Messenger would have issues. I don't know what we're doing, but he said get on the show, get on the call, and I am nothing if not a dutiful servant, so here I am. Mark, what are we doing? Like, seriously, what's up with this? What are we doing here?
Are you from an alternate timeline? Where's the 616?
God, I wish.
Where's the 616 Robert Winfrey, who knew exactly what we were doing and has access to my calendar? Because
I think Barry Allen screwed up the timeline again.
Oh, damn it. We're doing...
Look, The Flash is nothing but a blight on reality. All realities everywhere.
Speaking of blights on reality, tonight we're discussing Pokémon Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds.
Whoa. What?
Was I not clear? Like, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. There was no static or anything, right?
Nope.
Okay, you're not getting that, like, weird thing on Skype that says bad connection?
No, my connection's good, my Skype's good, my internet's good.
Okay.
Sounded like you said Detective Pikachu.
I did. Detective...
There's no... Okay, stop.
Yes, sir.
Stop the recording. Like, there's no way that's
I'm
a
not
thing.
going to stop the recording.
What are we... Why are you having this... Like, I appreciate a good joke, Mark. I appreciate your commitment to comedy. There's no way that's a real thing.
So, have you ever played the game Pokémon Detective Pikachu?
No. I've played other Pokemon games, but not that one.
Okay.
Okay, well, hang on. Which Pokemon games have you played? I want to know.
Original Red and Blue. I skipped Gen 2. I played at least 2 in Gen 3. I've played Gen 4, a bit of Gen 5.
What was your first starter?
Oh, Charizard. God help me.
Hang on.
No, mine too. I always started Fire type.
So that's Alexis Hannah from Honeysuckle Rose Creations, and waiting in the wings dutifully is David Wright. How you doing, Dave? We lost him. He gave up.
Eddie Squeaky Toy can, jump in till he comes back.
Oh, wait. There he is.
Okay, I am blasting off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight.
Ow. Ow. Oh, my brain. That hurts.
I don't know what that is.
I think Robert would prefer Eddie Squeaky Toy over that.
Oh, I hate Team Rocket so much.
David Wright, everybody. All right.
Look, I didn't have that much material to work with for an introduction, so there you go. That's the best I could come up with.
All right. So back to the topic at hand. Yes. Based on the 2016 video game Detective Pikachu, this is the best, the most highly critically rated, according to Rotten Tomatoes, video game movie of all time. Better than Resident Evil. Better.
Has no one seen Mortal Kombat?
Than Mortal Kombat.
So wait, Mark, you're telling me its reviews got to a whopping 50% approval?
Actually, 70%. The bar was at 52% with Rampage. We discussed this on last week's Sonic the Hedgehog trailer reaction.
Yes, indeedy.
Okay, so it's an unbelievably low bar to clear.
But it did.
Well, yeah.
It is currently fresh.
I still don't believe this is a thing. Hang on, I have to Google this.
Have you talked to Ryan? Have you talked to Gavin Napier? Because he'll tell you that Ryan Reynolds did in fact make a movie called Pokémon Detective Pikachu, and it's utterly delightful because Ryan Reynolds.
Look, Gavin believes that Ryan Reynolds was the star of Citizen Kane. I can't trust. I can trust Gavin on a lot of things. I can't trust him with anything when you even remotely bring up the name of Ryan Reynolds because his mind blanks out in like pre-orgasmic bliss.
Well, you know who's also in this? Justice Smith from The Get Down.
Isn't that one of Will Smith's untalented children?
No, that's Jaden Smith.
Yeah, I don't think
The last name's a hint.
I don't think Justice Smith is related to Will Smith. At least not to my knowledge. Smith is a very common last name.
Holy crap! Apparently, this is actually who thought this was a good idea?
Oh, apparently the good people at Warner Brothers.
There's no good people at Warner Brothers.
Warner
A better
Brothers.
question would be what took them so long.
Warner Brothers, Legendary Pictures, and the Pokemon Company. Yes, they are. It's a string of hits, ladies and gentlemen. Aquaman, Shazam, Pokemon, Detective Pikachu. They're coming for you. They're coming for you, Disney. They're coming for you.
No, they're not. Disney just bought. Disney just bought Hulu.
They bought the remaining stake they didn't own in Hulu.
Yeah, like they bought it up, and they're just going to adapt that infrastructure into Disney Plus. Like,
no, apparently they're going to leave it as its own standalone thing, but they're going to offer like bundles where you get like Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus for X price.
That might actually be worth looking into on my end, just because ESPN Plus is something I.
411 doesn't pay for it for you?
Man, come on.
We
really want to get into what 411 will pay.
We'll talk about it off. All right, look. If we're done with this lovely game of what kind of shtick are we opening up this week, can we move on with this?
I mean, who directed this crap?
That was directed by Rob Letterman. Rob Letterman also directed...
Okay, this man is a terrible director.
Rob Letterman also directed...
Shark Tales, Monster vs. Aliens,
yep.
and the Jack Black Gulliver's Travel.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps was good.
Goosebumps is all right.
I mean, no one here is going to say Shark Tale, that's DreamWorks' best movie. No, but Goosebumps was enjoyable.
He was the executive producer on Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. My kid loved that movie.
Yeah, your kid loved Jingling Keys, too.
No.
Actually, I like the Captain Underpants movie. They knew how to keep a very tongue-in-cheek style, and the animation really fit it well. It was nice.
Yeah. I'm still just kind of blown away that someone thought this was like. Why haven't I heard about this? Who thought this was a good idea to make this movie?
You keep saying that, but this thing is making money. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves for people anxiously awaiting for us to actually talk about the movie. But
you mean it catastrophically failed to unseat Avengers in its third week?
Well, come on.
3 weeks, man. That's the point when you should be able to get ahead of it.
I don't know what Warner Brothers thought they were doing by putting this anywhere near Avengers Endgame, but come on.
Someone had to take the shot.
It's a 1 in a million.
Someone's always going to have to be the first one out of the train.
It's made more than its budget, and it's, and again, it is obviously geared towards children, but it's still critically, and like my kids liked it, so... look, you keep saying, like, why would they do this? Look, Pokemon is a popular thing with the children.
Multi-billion-dollar, multi-generational franchise. Yes, I'm aware of Pokemon's success. I really am.
So, look, in all seriousness, any IP out there that has a as you put it, multi-generational, multi-million-dollar IP, multi-billion-dollar IP... is going to generate either a movie or a television show of some kind. Now, the quality of which we can discuss, and maybe someday we will, but why would they do it? To make money, you dumbass! And it worked!
I mean, Pokemon there's still a Pokemon television show ongoing, as we speak.
And there is, like I said, there's that. There's Pokemon Go.
Games,
Yeah,
merchandise,
they
plushies.
have Gen 7 about to come out, or Gen 8, I forget which one they're on.
So here, let me read this to you.
Sword and Shield. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Because, Sun and Moon was Gen 7.
According to the wiki, the reason for adapting Detective Pikachu, the question you keep asking, came from the Pokemon Company and Letterman's desire to make a movie that focused on another character besides Ash Ketchum, the protagonist of the animated series. On the premise, Letterman said, the Pokemon Company, they've already made many, many, many movies of Ash, and they came to Legendary with this idea of using a new character. So when I came on board, I was pitched this character of Detective Pikachu, and I fell in love with the story behind it. The idea of talking Pokemon originated from an early concept from the 1990s TV series, but was scrapped.
Meowth talks.
But was scrapped when the original game developer Game Freak was unsatisfied with the concept before the idea was revived for the 2016 Detective Pikachu spin-off game. Before filming began, Letterman said that they spent a year designing all the characters ahead of the shoot so we could get it all right. And it worked! It's wonderful! What do you say we talk about it?
Okay, for the record, I'm now looking up people's reaction to this on Twitter. Everyone whose opinion I trust has a negative reaction to this.
Terrific.
Okay, here's the best one. Okay, I'm about to see Detective Pikachu. I just hope it's enjoyable. Guy responds to his own tweet with a sad face.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm supposed to do the plot synopsis, so since I haven't seen the movie, I'm just going to read the wiki.
I was going to say, are we supposed to talk about the critic reactions later?
Yes.
We will. That wasn't a critic. That's just people whose opinions I trust.
That's some dude on Twitter that Robert likes.
Yeah. And again, I've cultivated a list of people whose perspectives I know either overlap heavily with mine, whose perspectives I trust, generally speaking.
I wish you could hear the soundboard, because then I would upload the Monty Python thing of Get On With It.
All right, so courtesy of the Detective Pikachu wiki.
Jazz it up, though. Don't just read it word for word. Even when I have to do that on trial, I at least I crack a joke here or there. I read it and, I change my voice a little bit. Jazz it up for me. Be entertaining. Dance, monkey.
Look, Eddie just barked. That's as close as you're going to get.
Nope. Try harder.
No.
Sorry, he is still trying. Okay, the squeaky toy was because the squeaky was because he tried again to go for my stuffed Pikachu, which I am currently curling in my arms. So I gave him the squeaky toy, saying, "Okay, you can't have Pikachu. Here's your toy. Chew on this." Then he squeaked it for a while, and then he knocked it off, and now he's looking at my Pikachu again. And he wants Pikachu. And he goes, "Pikachu, I choose you."
All right, look. There's going to be we should release your dog at the actual Pikachu from the movie and have him kill it, because that would have saved us all a lot of trouble. All right, in the Pokemon universe, which is basically Japan and occasionally parts of Europe, they had one set in America, basically.
I think they shot this in Scotland.
It's not specified.
Just in the Pokemon universe, which is again largely located in Japan. Tim Goodman. Wow, that's an uninspired name. I wonder if he's a good guy.
I wonder if you will win to be free. Yeah, you want to move on.
Is a 21-year-old insurance salesman who had given up Pokemon training due to the death of his mother and the absence of his father, Harry. While hanging out with his friend Jack, Tim learns that Harry has presumably died while investigating a case. That's because, sure, you always get death information about investigative law enforcement from your friend third hand.
Actually, you got it on the phone.
We're going to be done with this podcast by 3 o'clock in the morning at this rate. Speed it up. Dance faster. Dance faster, monkey.
He travels to Rhyme City, a metropolis that outlaws Pokemon fighting and pushes the bonds of humans and Pokemon alike, because it's not been established through decades of gameplay and this entire IP that fighting is something Pokemon do. And
Pokemon weren't meant to fight. Not like this.
Okay, don't do that. No. Don't do that. You don't get to reference that.
What's even better is the second movie is about how it's wrong to, put them in cages.
In all fairness, have you guys actually watched those first two movies with the subtitles and not the 4Kids dubbing?
It's better.
Yeah, the original dialogue actually translated into subtitles. It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
As with most things involving 4Kids, the sub is superior to the dub.
Naturally.
Apart from for purposes of hilarity. Unintentional hilarity, mind you, because in a few hours the sun will come up, being the only thing that they could come up with to replace the dialogue. Well, you should just go pee over the side of the boat.
The CPAP's calling me. Move along.
Okay, Snorlax. So living in this hippy dippy commune where everyone gets along and sings Kumbaya. Tim is there to collect his father's assets. He also meets Lucy Stevens, a crappy reporter.
Looks a
Intern.
lot like Alicia Silverstone. Like, am I wrong about that? Doesn't she look like Alicia Silverstone's kid?
Much younger. I mostly just recognize she's a reoccurring character on Supernatural named Claire Novak, who, frankly, her character's kind of a pain in the ass. So when she showed up, I was like, oh god, not again.
I honestly thought she was like Alicia Silverstone's daughter. Like, I was really surprised that they're not related. To me, she looks just like her.
I mostly just love the character Psyduck. And because Psyduck was always presented as being so annoying, but this Psyduck is freaking adorable. He's awesome.
He runs into that in the Psyduck. While in the apartment, he encounters a Pikachu that has the classic deer stalker hat, so you know he's a detective. Because all detectives must wear Sherlock Holmes-esque deer stalker hats.
Makes sense. Seems legit.
That he can somehow speak and understand, and every Nuzlocke everywhere suffered a serious pang. And oh no, because it's a common enough trope in the Nuzlocke community that a character afflicted with Nuzlocke can hear and understand Pokemon, whereas others can't. They're attacked by a party of Apom. Apom. Under the influence of a purple gas that Tim accidentally released, so he bumbles around the apartment and releases a bunch of purple gas that turn the Apom hostile, I assume. Anyway, they manage to escape.
Did you really not see the movie?
No.
Mark,
Why?
do you want me to take over this?
I volunteer too.
I think we can get this over with before next week's Game of Thrones episode starts.
David, hit it. Save
Go
us.
for it, David.
Okay, yeah. So looking around the office, he finds a container with an R written on it with some sort of purple gas in it. Instead of taking it to a lab to have it analyzed, he decides to open it up because what could possibly go wrong? Gas goes out the window, but there's a bunch of those... okay, I'm only good up to 151 Pokemon here. The Apoms are there, and it basically
they're the purple monkeys with the hands on their tails.
Yeah, that was my backup description.
The evolved form is Ambipom, and it has another tail with a hand on it.
Oh my god, you nerds! Get on with this.
Yeah. So they go like feral and start attacking Tim and Pikachu, and they run away. Hijinks ensue. Eventually, they calm down. Pikachu tries to convince him to work together to find his dad, revealing that this Pikachu was his dad's partner Pokemon. Though Tim's still in the obligatory "no, I don't want to" phase of the script, so we have to wait another 5 minutes before things get going again. So he comes around. They decide to go and investigate. They end up trying to trace the drug, the purple mist stuff, ending up going to find his father's source, which turns out to be a Mr. Mime, which we've seen in the trailer, that interrogation scene, which leads them to a secret underground Pokemon battle because it's illegal in this city, which, by the way, is run by Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy is in a Pokemon movie. I did not see that one coming.
You know what? Good for Bill Nighy.
He showed up. He collected his check. He did a good job. But still, I just was never imagining him, telling us about Pokemon history.
He can be in as many movies as he wants. I still look at him, and all I see is Rufus Scrimgeour.
Yeah. So they go to the Pokemon battle, where apparently... by the way, the Detective Pikachu seems to have have forgotten his memories. What? Oh, geez, my brain
He's
is
amnesiac.
not. I knew it started with an A, which is ironic.
Yeah.
So does aphasia.
For the word amnesia.
So
Yeah.
So what you're saying
No.
so what you're saying it's another movie like Memento. Got it. Go on.
Yeah, Robert's
No, it's
favorite.
not. Oh, for God. It is not like Memento. I am
You didn't
so
see the movie. You shut up.
You're dealing with retrograde amnesia, not antigrade amnesia. It's not like Memento.
Right. So this is
Okay,
Memento.
I'm seriously an inch away from getting the Monty Python thing queued up so I can actually have God scream. Get on with it, because I lost track of how many times we have derailed this show tonight.
Right.
Forget-
Please continue
Not a
on
quarter
with
of the way through.
Pokemon Memento.
Okay, so apparently the Detective Pikachu had fought a Charizard at the event, and the owner knows where the drugs came from. So Detective Pikachu has to do a rematch in order to get the information, but the guy cheats by basically shooting up his Charizard with as much of the purple stuff as he can. So it goes crazy, he gets knocked over, which lets all the gas out, and then all the Pokemon start going crazy, and Tim wrestles him down and gets information on where the lab is located, where this stuff came from. He's intercepted by Bill Nighy's character named Howard Clifford. Servant, where he explains that his father was investigating this thing, and then that's how he got in trouble. And now it's up to them to figure it out, because his son apparently he hates Pokemon because his dad loves Pokemon so much and wants to make them all go crazy to destroy the bond between Pokemon and humans. So Tim and Lucy, at this point, she pops up again. They join forces together. They go to the lab, basically discover that they were holding Mewtwo captive there and using him to make the purple gas. Then the Sun character catches up with them and basically lets all the experimental Pokemon out of the lab, and then a chase scene ensues. In the process, Detective Pikachu is near fatally injured, and they have to find a healer-type Pokemon. They're led by a bunch of Bulbasaurs to it, and shock of shock, it's Mewtwo, who apparently knows more than what they're saying. So he heals up Detective Pikachu, but before he can explain what's going on, he is captured again by the bad guys.
It's important to know that he got halfway through his explanation, but it's the half that makes it look like he's the bad guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So we move on from that to Detective Pikachu gets a bit of his memories back and realizes that he was the one that let Mewtwo out by shocking the equipment in the lab. So at that point, we do the obligatory, no, you can't trust me, I'm dangerous, and we have to split up now because that's what happens in movies. So Tim ends up going to meet up with Clifford again, and this is where Pikachu puts together that, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, and we find out that Clifford had originally hired Tim's dad to go and find Mewtwo, and then they captured Mewtwo, and then he realized his mistake and therefore helped break Mewtwo out, and Clifford's plan is to use a mind control device to remote control Mewtwo, who apparently has the ability now to put people's minds inside their Pokemon if their Pokemon are in the feral state. So they're having a big Pokemon...
Which is what the gas is for.
Yes, exactly. So now they're having a big Pokemon parade a la 1980s Batman movie with the big balloons.
Or the
which
Mason
are
State Parade.
loaded with... Yeah, they're all loaded...
No.
with gas.
Jack Nicholson's Joker singing that song is better.
I have to agree with you there. But anyway, this is a Pokemon movie, not a Batman movie. So he puts his evil plan into motion, takes over Mewtwo, and lets out the gas and starts putting people inside their Pokemon, never asking them if they wanted this or not. His whole idea being that he has some terminal disease, and he went to try and find a solution through Pokemon, and he's envious of how they can evolve into different forms, and he thinks it wouldn't be great if people could do that too. It's not the best plan, in my opinion. It would be nice if he had asked anyone if they wanted to be a Pokemon. But, can you imagine the poor sucker that has a Magikarp?
I don't know what that is.
It's basically a big goldfish. It's like the weakest Pokemon out there.
You saw it in the movie. It's that pathetic red fish that Pikachu lobbed, but it gets to turn into a Gyarados, the giant blue water dragon.
Yeah, it's like the weakest Pokemon, but it evolves into one of the strongest Pokemon.
I don't know, man. Gyarados not being an actual dragon type is a giant kick in the pants. It's still quad reek to electric attacks.
Is it weird that every time you guys start talking about like minutia Pokemon stuff, that I want to stuff you all in lockers?
You picked the wrong movie to do, man.
Yeah, like seriously.
Yeah. It's like, would you guys quit talking about comic stuff during our Avengers podcasts? Like, seriously, what's up with that?
I mean, I see your point, but just go on.
Brought out a bunch of nerds to talk about Detective Pikachu. What did you think was going to happen?
My age is catching up with me on this podcast. I'm telling you that right now.
And, like, half the reason people went to see this movie is it's like all the Pokemon we saw as kids, like, done in, like, $200 million CGI.
Let's face it, majority of the people in the theater were basically going, look, there's a Gyarados. Look, there's a Machamp. Look, there's a Snorlax. Look, there's an Apom.
They're
Seriously,
real. They're moving in herds. They do move in herds.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we're like 5
already.
minutes from the end of the film here, so let's soldier on through here. So Detective Pikachu shows up again and starts fighting with Mewtwo to try and destroy as much of the gas as possible. Lucy is trying to get on camera so she can tell people to not breathe in the gas.
Wait. This says she's not even a real reporter. She's like an intern of some variety.
They're doing the whole like she gets the scoop before everyone else does, but nobody believes her because she's just the intern. So, of course, in the end,
she doesn't actually work for a paper. She's a podcaster or a blogger.
No. Okay.
No, she actually does have a job.
Oh god.
For the network, and unfortunately, that's actually pretty much the way it happens. If you want to get on TV, you better pray to God that you're delivering coffee at the right time. That a reporter gets stomach flu.
Yeah,
so that's the way you're getting on air.
No, that I know is true.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while Pikachu is battling Mewtwo/Howard, Tim is on the inside, finds Howard's son is actually alive and tied up, and the actual son is a Ditto that Howard Clifford had genetically made. A Ditto can, like, shape-shift into different forms, and so the Ditto shows up, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight. And eventually, they manage to win. While Mewtwo/Clifford is distracted, Tim takes the Mewtwo control device off of Howard's physical head, putting him back in his own body. Mewtwo gets his consciousness back, looks at the mess, and uses his powers to reverse all the problems. And then we get the big reveal that when Tim's father escaped from the lab with Pikachu, they were attacked by some of the Pokemon from the lab, ending up in a fatal car crash. Tim's dad was dying, so Mewtwo's basically saved his life by putting his consciousness inside of Pikachu, which is why Tim can hear Pikachu's voice, and Mewtwo reverses it. So in the end, Tim decides that he's going to stick around in Rhyme City with his dad, Ryan Reynolds, and they walk off into the city. Cue credits.
I have a question, because
Yes.
this I'm a little confused by, and maybe you folks can steer me the right way.
I tried to go as fast as I could.
No, you did a great job. Thank you very
Thank
much.
No, seriously, you're about to take my job. Go for it.
I'll try. It's a great responsibility.
No, it's not.
With great power comes great responsibility. But here's my question, because I can't tell you how I feel about this film until I have this question answered. It's really been bugging me. So Ryan Reynolds is in a car wreck that is caused by the Grinjitsu. The
Greninjas.
Greninjas.
Okay, right.
It's
And
the
then-
final form of the the Colossian water starter.
And it's also one of the most popular fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
So he crawls out of the flaming car, right? His body is dying, and in order to save him, she takes the consciousness and puts it into the Pikachu.
Yes,
How does he get his body back at the end?
because Mewtwo is magic.
Seriously, the bodies are placed. It's weird because Mewtwo puts people. It's not a brain transplant. He basically turns the body into energy and puts the energy into the Pokemon. There's no other way to really explain.
That is the dumbest thing.
I do agree that was a bit silly.
So wait, the body itself went inside the Pokemon?
He becomes a Force Ghost, and the Force Ghost is absorbed into a physical person, and then after some part of the Force has healed the Force Ghost's body enough, it can then be recorporealized into an actual body.
That is a more thorough description of what happened than what the movie gives you.
Yeah, it really doesn't explain at all where the body went.
Okay, again, I have not seen this movie. That is so profoundly stupid.
Okay, well, hang on.
Nerds.
Let me at least digest what I just heard. So I got to say it back to make sure I got this right.
Yeah.
The physical body went into the ether, and then it's, as you said, its ghost form went inside Pikachu, and then when it was sufficiently healed on this journey, Mewtwo plucked it back out, voila, lobster.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Let me be clear. Based on what everyone else has said, that would be how I understand it to be.
Okay. Yeah, that was poorly explained in this movie, but okay, at least I understand where Ryan Reynolds showed up now and why his body appeared out of nowhere.
Look, Ryan Reynolds showed up because it's in his contract that his face has to appear on camera at least once.
Well, it also is the only way to get around the whole Mewtwo putting people inside their Pokemon, because if they didn't have the bodies fall into the live stream and join with the materia or whatever, and you're going to have a lot of what looks like dead bodies lying around on the ground.
Okay, so what's happening on this podcast is I'm now being Jesse. I'm not getting any of these references. I don't know what the hell you people are talking about.
Oh, God, I haven't even played Final Fantasy VII, and I get that reference.
Same.
Basically,
stick with your Force Ghost analogy. That works.
Final Fantasy VII, was that the one that was on PlayStation?
Yeah, there's only so many of these references we could make.
There's a lot of them that have been on PlayStation. Yes, 7 was on PlayStation. 7's the one with Cloud and Sephiroth.
Okay, I did play that one, but god damn it, I was living in my parents' house at the time, and I think I was in college.
You're not living with your parents now?
No, or in a basement. You fucking assholes.
So someone get some ointment, because you just got burned.
So thank you for joining us tonight on Damn You Hollywood. We'll be back next week for John Wick.
Right. On Damn You Hollywood, the Mark doesn't get it edition.
Yeah, I now know how Jesse feels all of the time. All right, so let me let the old man talk for just a minute, and then you nerds, you children, can go back to talking about your Pick-a-Man and your Pokemon and your Whoosy Whatsy and your Boom Boom and your Bang Bang. All right,
Mark, again.
According to this podcast, 107. Why do you ask?
He's 44.
No.
Oh.
I'm going to be 43 in like 3 weeks.
Sorry, my mistake. 43. Happy early birthday.
Thanks.
No, this happens a lot where I see people talk about like, oh god, I feel so old, and it's like, I'm in my freaking 30s. You're not that much older than me. So
I'm only 33. I still feel old.
I'm 34.
Yeah, you know what it's like to have Rob bond with my wife more than I can because they're closer in age and actually have more of a shared life experience.
Look, your wife loves you. She finds me loosely amusing on occasion.
Yeah, if she remembers who you are. There are sometimes I talk about you folks, and she goes, wait, who was that one again? She totally forgot who Pat was. And I met him in person. All right. Pokemon.
Look, I'm the other one who hates Uriah Faber.
Yeah, she doesn't remember who Uriah Faber is.
She is better off for that.
Unless Uriah Faber showed up in Downton Abbey. She doesn't know who the fuck he is. Okay. So
he could. They'd have to censor his chin, given the cultural mores of this time period Downton Abbey is set in.
So it's a simple movie. I mean, I had a good time because I kind of was watching my kids react to the movie, and they were having a good time. Like, I could see them sort of commiserating with one another. My son, who's really into video games and Let's Plays, was having a grand old time. Like, I don't know how much Pokemon I definitely know he's aware of it, and he was telling, and then kind of like you guys, just babbling in my ear about what Pokemon is and what he knows about it. But has he played any of it? I don't think so. Any of the video games, I'm not really sure. either way, he was having a great time. My daughter was having a great time, and they were kind of chit-chatting with each other during the movie and afterwards about it. As far as what I thought of it craft-wise, I mean, it's a very simple whodunit detective story. Justice Smith does really, really well acting against a green screen or whatever however the hell they did to create Pokemon. Pikachu looks great on screen. They did a really, we talk about, getting the fine details of CGI to where you can actually see the hair move, and they did a really good job with Pikachu. The other characters look fine. There's a scene in there with what are these things called? Torterras, where
giant, yeah,
that looks incredible. Like I had
Do we ever see this lead character's mother?
Only in pictures.
She has to be, because I'm just looking up pictures of this actor, and Ryan Reynolds ain't black.
Yeah. The mother is black.
Okay.
They do a pretty good job of hiding what his father looks like through the entire film, and Justice Smith, I think, does kind of pull off the could be a mixed.
I only care in as much as if it's a major gaffe. I'm like, no, both your parents are white. You just came out looking again kind of like Will Smith's kid.
I think
it was kind of a good strategy to hide that it was Ryan Reynolds, though.
Justice Smith. Let me focus on him for just a second. Like I said, my first experience with this kid was in The Get Down, which I really enjoyed. And if you're into hip hop culture, breakdancing, that sort of thing, go watch The Get Down on Netflix. It's fucking amazing. But that being said, this whole thing, I think, look, Ryan Reynolds, we all know, is a fine actor, and and he's very funny, and of course the idea of him voicing Pikachu is kind of funny in and of itself. So this movie is kind of a gimmick movie that kind of, if they don't get if the human character doesn't work, I don't think the movie works. And Justice Smith, thankfully for this movie, has enough charm and ability to pull it off. The cast around him, like the girl, Bill Nighy's fine. And that's kind of it for the cast, or is it much more?
Wait,
than that?
he's Bill Nighy. He could do this in his sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, he probably was sleeping through half the movie.
He kind of looks at it in part of it.
He's just good enough to still be the best thing about any given movie he's in, especially something like this.
So to move this along, the CGI looks pretty good for the most part, with the best parts being Pikachu itself. Justice Smith does a good job. The plot, I mean, was the plot predictable? Sure, but I don't tend to hold that against movies. That's some other people's things, Robert.
Well, I got to admit, putting people inside Pokemon, I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
Can I just ask this? I brought this up on Shazam for a very different reason, but I'm curious as to whether or not this applies. Because I said that for someone explicitly, mind you, gifted with the wisdom of Solomon, Shazam was a massive dumbass. For a world-class detective, which this Pikachu professes to be, is it just me, or does he come across as kind of a doofus?
No,
not really. I mean,
okay.
It's the amnesia kind of, stops him from knowing what.
So how does he know he's a world-class detective?
He assumed, because he's got Harry's hat, so he assumes...
Okay, no. He wakes up with he has enough of his memories to know, I have a deer hunter's hat, I must be a detective.
No,
it has the ad.
I mean, in fairness, that actually does track. Like, okay, deerstalker hat, you are a detective.
You want to let one of them answer you now? Go ahead, Alexis.
For the inside of the hat's got one of those, if lost, please return to, and it has Harry's information on it. Pikachu was wearing it. He goes to the apartment. He sees that a detective lives there. He puts two and two together, saying, if I'm wearing this and I live here, I must be this detective's partner, so I must be a detective too.
There's also a fair amount of case evidence lying about the apartment and other things that, like, he's in the time that Harry quote unquote died, and when Justice Smith's character shows up, he's been in the apartment going through things, trying to figure this out. So he kind of put all that together essentially before he's introduced to Justice Smith's character.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, look, the movie, I think, in order to be successful, again, has to find that line between being entertaining for kids, being true to the IP, and entertaining adults, and I think it largely succeeds at that. What else can you ask, for about, with the history of video game movies? So I'm going to go over to Alexis here. What did you think of the film?
I am a big Pokemon fan, and I did greatly.
Connecting to the internet.
God damn it.
Take a look at the
You didn't
help
turn
in your
on
Alexa.
Echo again.
This is becoming my dog interruption.
Yeah, wait a minute. Alexa, explain Detective Pikachu to Mark.
Go ahead, Miss Hana.
For the record, what did Alexa say this time?
It said, I don't understand what you're saying. Please repeat.
Oh, that cop out. Okay, I really liked what they did with Rhyme City. I love you're right. The animation on all these Pokemon looked amazing. I mean, you get to see the freaking scale texture of Charizard. That's just gorgeous. I love the little scenes of seeing the Pokemon interacting. There's a brief scene where we see Squirtles getting to help out with firemen, and that's just awesome. I love it. The movie does have a few flaws. I mean, raise your hand if you kind of figured out the ending as soon as Bill Nighy explained the idea of putting people into Pokemon.
That's what I mean by it was a little predictable. I mean, as soon as Bill Nighy kind of gives him the information about the bad, I'm like, he's going to end up being the bad guy.
Yeah, that's true. I did kind of like the idea of finding the evidence of the Greninja scales and realizing, oh, wait, that means Mewtwo didn't cause the accident.
Mm-hmm.
Did like that. Like I said, I just really enjoyed the world that we saw. I mentioned this earlier. I freaking love Psyduck. Psyduck in the games and in the anime was always portrayed as so annoying, just one of the most grating Pokemon in history of mankind. And they actually made him cute. There's this great scene where, if you don't know, Psyduck, one of Psyduck's great powers is that he gets headaches that if they become too big, they can release psychic, death waves, basically. You can go Professor X in Logan on them. And so there's always this joke about keeping Psyduck calm and not stressing him out. So there's a scene where they're in a car and Psyduck, of course, you don't hear Psyduck talking, you just hear him going, Psyduck. And you realize that he's basically telling Pikachu, give me a foot massage so I don't get a headache and kill your boss or kill your friend. And it just kills because, it's still freaking funny. I love the idea of Psyduck just manipulating Pikachu like that. That's so hilarious.
It feels like he's just trying to, get by.
Yeah. I wanted to say this before. I just wanted to quick piggyback on what you were saying. I really enjoyed the waking of the Torterra scene.
Yes.
Because it looks like the whole Earth is just coming apart. And while you don't get a great glimpse of the Torterras, I thought I would be curious to see how they shot that, because I mean it's an outdoor scene, so unless it's all green screen and they just have them on some sort of like a rotating treadmill or something, I mean it really looks great. It looks like because all they're being thrown this way and that, and it isn't just a a flat earthquake where they're kind of falling over. They're going like upside down, and the whole earth is just changing around them. It was the scene that it reminded me of, only it was slightly more interesting. I thought this iteration of it was slightly more interesting than the one that it reminded me of. Was in I think it's The Hobbit, where the mountains come alive and they're whatever creatures they are. I don't remember which ones. But
the mountain giants, they're climbing on the sides, and all of a sudden the mountain giants basically wake up and say, "We're going to have us a brawl." Yeah.
Right. So it was reminiscent of that, only because this one isn't A, in the dark, and B, raining, and years later, this one looked a lot better.
No, I agree, and especially because at first you think it's the ground is breaking up because Psyduck got a little overeager with his powers or something, and then you realize no, because you had previously seen the Torterras and they mentioned, they don't look that big. They'd seen the smaller Torterras, and then you realize, those weren't the Torterras that had the growth experiment on them. These are.
Right. So essentially the entire area is their shell.
pretty much. I hate saying I also geeked out because I play Pokemon Go pretty, like almost every day, and I have a Torterra as one of my best fighters.
That's still a thing?
Yeah, I still play.
You can still find Pokemons like lying around your house and shit?
Yeah, there's actually a part of the game called the Go Snap where you can take a picture of a Pokemon using the AR technology, and if you do it right, then another Pokemon will photobomb you, and then you have the chance to catch that Pokemon that photobombed. And currently, the Pokemon that is photobombing is Pikachu wearing a detective hat.
Of course it is.
I wonder why.
I'll send you a picture of him photobombing, and so I could catch him.
Okay, if there's nothing else, David, what did you think of the film?
Well, basically, this film is sort of made for two audiences. One is like small children who like Pokemon or just like cute things, and like the old Pokemon fans back from when it first came out who have just been waiting to see like a movie of this level done, so you can like finally see with modern CG technology all the Pokemon that they played with as kids, in motion. Echo. Yeah, but overall, the story, it's nothing really special. It's a buddy detective film, but that's fine. Again, it's a kid's property, and it's not afraid of that. So yeah, for kids, it's not going to be that hard for them to go with. And yeah, there's enough humor in it that the adults won't be completely bored. But I certainly think that if you're an adult and you have no interest in Pokemon, you're going to be a bit left out in this one.
No, I wasn't left out at all. I had a clue what was happening. No, in all honesty, I think that was one of the successful things about the movie is that there is a tacit recognition that there's going to be some of us there who just brought our kids to this thing. Because let's face it, if I didn't have a podcast that deals in summer blockbusters, and B, if I didn't have kids, we might be discussing Tolkien right now instead of Detective Pikachu. Which I did go see Friday night. It was not bad. In any case, the point being that I think there was at least some degree of care to make the story just interesting enough to keep to bring along the folks who haven't the foggiest fucking clue what these Pokemon are.
Yeah, I'd say that, though. It's still, even for me, kind of went a bit off the rails towards the end.
What about it? I mean, is this an issue with the plot, or like what went off the rails
No,
for you?
it's just like all of a sudden Mewtwo can put people inside Pokemon. I'm like, that's new.
Okay.
Like I was not expecting that to be like the grand plan. Like I was okay with person wants to use chemical gas to make Pokemon go crazy so people don't like Pokemon anymore.
Right.
I can follow that. But yeah, just sort of getting from that to like, okay, we need this so that their minds are in a state where we can turn people into ghosts and shove them in their bodies. That was a bit like, okay, like not sure who came up with that idea. That was kind of out of left field.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the connection. So the Pokemon have to be feral for Mewtwo to make this work.
Yeah, I guess they have to be willing, because he does mention that the Pikachu, that Detective Pikachu, is volunteered to have Ryan Reynolds shoved inside of it.
Phrasing.
Pika, woo!
So, I hate to be sort of the Mike Stokowski of this podcast, but I got to bring up Legends of Tomorrow again.
Nerd. Nerd!
So on that, this is a common thing I'm noticing, because they do it on this show as well, where there's a lot of demons possessing people on this show this season, and it's one thing to have the demon possess somebody when it's against their will. There has to be a certain thing that happens, and the stars have to align, and you have blah 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 yakety schmackety. But in cases where the person readily accepts the demon, it's obviously easier, and they become more powerful, and blah blah. So yeah, I feel like this is becoming like a common trope.
Yeah,
the idea of the permissible possession.
Yeah, I was also kind of thinking that they were going to go into like Team Rocket towards the end.
I don't know what that is.
They're basically a criminal organization that uses Pokemon for crime.
Ah,
They're the villainous organization from Gen 1 and Gen 2.
Yeah, because like the substance they're using, it's like has R written on the bottle.
this started as a card game, right?
Video game, I think, was first.
I'm not sure if the card game or the video game came first. I think it was the video game.
I think it was the video game, then card game, then the TV shows and everything else.
Then everything.
Honestly, there's going to be a sequel to it.
It's already been greenlit.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if we're going to see more hints of the more common elements.
Yeah, like I wasn't complaining that Team Rocket wasn't in it. Just like I saw that and I think, okay, we have like some shady rich business person who wants to do bad things to Pokemon, and they have an R written on their, evil, like gas stuff. Like I maybe that's where it's going.
So what was the original Pokemon? Let's assume it was a video game. What was the original Pokemon video game supposed to be? Was it like a fighting game? Like you basically you pick a monster and you have him fight?
You are a Pokemon trainer. When you reach the age of being a Pokemon, 8 basically in this game, then like you get a Pokemon, and then you are to go out into the world and travel between the various towns and cities, catching Pokemon and battling them until you get to sort of the big fight at the end, where the fighting competition at the end, where everyone battles to determine who is the greatest Pokemon master.
So it's Mortal Kombat.
Not really.
No, it's less of a tournament, more of an individual journey. Pokemon is a combination of fighting games with like JRPGs is kind of the best way to intellectualize it if you've never really played.
So it's Double Dragon.
No.
you walk along and you fight people, and you walk and you fight people, and you walk and you fight people. Double Dragon.
No. What part of JRPG did you miss?
You collected Pokemon to build up a fighting team that can take on first the gym leaders. You go to a different town, and each town's got a gym, and you have to defeat the gym leader in a battle.
So it's Rocky.
No, Mark, just stop.
Okay.
A badge, and then when you have the 8 badges, then you can go fight the Elite Four. And then once you've beaten the Elite Four, then you can fight the champion Pokemon Master. If you win, then you win the game.
Terrific.
Depending on the gen, because some of them have other things you can do. If you're playing in either Gen 2 or the remakes for Gen that were part of Gen 4, then you can go fight Red.
Okay. Do we have anything
It's
else?
level 88 Pikachu.
Do we have anything else we want to say about the craft of this movie, or otherwise we're moving on to the money?
Oh,
I think I'm good.
I thought we were going to discuss. Brought this up last week. I indicated for our listeners, the two that we haven't scared off yet, that if they had to pick a Pokemon for each member of our staff, who would they pick? So, I don't know. Who would you, Robert? You seem to know Pokemon pretty well. What Pokemon would you give Mark?
I mean, again, apart from the Snorlax joke.
Yeah, which is we already knew everyone was. Wait, I
Yeah.
have to say Mark doesn't need a Snorlax. Mark is a Snorlax.
Yeah, hence the joke. That was actually the joke I was trying to make. Which one would I just want him to have and just help out around the house?
Well, we see in this movie that Pokemon are partners, so which Pokemon would you partner with them?
Alexis, whatever it is you're doing, please stop. No, stop, Alexa, stop. Damn it. So I know what's happening, by the way, other than it's recognizing when I say that particular name. We got new Wi-Fi in the house, and I haven't switched over the Wi-Fi on that one, so it keeps saying I can't do anything, you idiot, stop asking.
I thought you said Alexis at first, like, wait, what did I do? And then you said, I was like, oh, no, never mind, I didn't piss him off.
Oh, well, no, I was starting to say, you, Miss Hannah, sometimes you're breaking up, and I don't know if it's because you're moving or whatever, but be aware, like, you sound good now, whatever it is you're doing, keep doing that.
I would probably give Mark. I give Mark a Jigglypuff just to help again with the sleeping.
Nice. But don't forget, but here's the problem. If Mark falls asleep, then Jigglypuff will draw all over his face with permanent marker.
I don't see the problem with that.
He's got 2 kids. I'm sure he's prepared.
Yeah, I mean, Jigglypuff can help the kids sleep. Mark can go into work with a bunch of mustaches and dicks drawn on his face. I'm sure that won't cause any problems working in a jail.
You know, I drive to work. There are mirrors on my car. I would see a dick drawn on my face.
I'm just saying you couldn't get it off.
You can't get a dick off. Ha! How about that?
Well, I would certainly hope not.
If you're doing this bit, do it, baby. Do it.
Seriously, how do we go from discussing which Pokemon would you give to suddenly you can't get a dick off? Wow.
Oh, that's
You
this
must be
podcast.
new here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's this podcast for you. All right, come on, do it, baby, do it.
I would give probably Alexis a Rockruff just so that you could stick it on Eddie.
You know she's married, right? I wouldn't you can't rock rough her.
My suggested a Lucario for me.
Lucario's overrated.
Didn't he play the Hulk in that 1970s Hulk show?
No, Mark, there's never been a Hulk show.
You're thinking of a Lou Ferrigno.
That's the one.
All right, what about David? What do we give David?
Who's the most Canadian Pokemon?
So now I know what my defining characteristic is.
Okay, congratulations.
Hang on.
You've been stereotyped.
Oh crap! What's the bear? Oh, what's the ice bear? There's a polar bear. I can't remember its name.
Is there one that looks like a beaver?
Oh, you could be a Bidoof.
Yeah, I was going to say Ursaring.
What the hell are these things? A Bidoof?
Yeah, there's a.
That's something you got called in high school, and then you got hit in the forehead. You know,
Yeah,
someone would call you a Bidoof and then biff you.
Yeah, a Bidoof's evolved form is a Bibarrel, and yeah, it's mostly a beaver. Ursaring, which is basically a grizzly bear. Beartick, that's it. Because there's a polar bear, an ice type that is. I would go with Beartick.
And I thought Magic the Gathering was nerdy. Oof.
Hey, I can talk about that too if you'd like.
Not particularly. Wait until they make a movie of it.
Already
Oh,
exists. Yeah, again, so Alexis would get another dog.
Oh, I already know what we're giving Patrick.
Be nice. Patrick gets a what now?
A Grand Bull.
Okay.
What's a Grand Bull?
No. They didn't they retcon that to be a fairy type?
Yes, I didn't even think of that.
I thought I gave that the fairy type once they introduced it.
He's not going to listen to this podcast. I feel like now I have to message him. Hey, you just got called a fairy on the podcast.
It's just a type. It's not a. Yeah. Grand Bull works for Pat, or whatever its evolved form is. I can't remember what it's called.
What are we giving Jesse?
Oh, Jesse.
Chansey.
Oh, you want to give Jesse a. Oh.
What are we doing for Sean?
Oh, you really want to give me that can of worms?
Hang on, let me think. What'd I give Sean to just help him out? I might give him not the fully evolved Machamp, but Machoke.
You know, Machoke actually freaked me out when I first started playing because you can see it kind of looks like it's got the veins on its arms. It just looks so weird. Actually, no, I think Sean would actually want the early version of Machamp. Because Sean likes to help train and strengthen. So I think he would want somebody who he could help evolve stronger. So he'd want a base form.
If you go on base, then Machop, and then they can eventually get to the point where they all have 4 arms and can move stuff.
That actually is something he could really use.
All right.
Yeah,
I think that's
I'd like
everybody, right?
arms.
That's all the main RAB people.
Well, there's Andrew.
Okay.
Delibird.
Enough about Andrew to talk.
I'd probably go with the Machamp because like it's something that can grapple and it has 2 extra arms. He'd be
No. Andrew gets the actual judo Pokemon throw.
not a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan.
Nope. There's a pair of fighting Pokemon from Gen 5 in Unova. One is Sock and the other is Throw. And Throw is actually specifically referenced as a judo type Pokemon, as a judo Pokemon.
In the immortal words of M'Baku, are we done now?
No.
Are you done yet?
Mark, now you know what this podcast is like for everybody else but you.
Yeah, this sucks. I like it when I'm the one derailing things.
Hey, it's not like we said you get Cubone.
I don't know what that is.
That's the Pokemon from the very beginning of the movie that doesn't stop crying because it literally wears its mother's skull.
Oh, okay, no. If I wasn't going to give Mark a Jigglypuff, I'd give him a Kangaskhan.
Oh, really? A Kangaskhan?
Yep, to steer his kids around for him.
Mark, a Kangaskhan is basically, think of a combination of an Ankylosaurus and a kangaroo.
Terrific. Can we do the money now? Are we done?
I don't know. Are we done?
That's all that's everybody that pretty much does I do podcast with without getting into the extended group of people.
Yeah, let's do the extended group of people then.
Oh my God! Fuck off! No. Here we go.
Here comes the money.
Okay, fine.
Here we go.
Nope. Playing theme music.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar.
I want to go to bed at some point tonight. All right. God damn it.
Do you really?
Yes. I enjoy my CPAP machine. I love it. On a budget of $150 million, at the time of this ridiculous recording, it has earned $170.5 million. It was number 2. It debuted at number 2. For the weekend, Avengers Endgame is in its 3rd week at number 1. Behind Pokemon Detective Pikachu is The Hustle.
It couldn't even take first place in Japan.
Yeah, John Wick will knock Avengers Endgame finally off his perch. I doubt it goes 4 weeks in a row.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. The Hustle debuted at number 3. The Intruder fell from 2 to 4. Long Shot from 3 to 5. Palms debuted at number 6. Ugly Dolls, which I don't think anyone saw, dropped from 4 to 7. Breakthrough 6 to 8. Tolkien debuted at number 9. And The Curse of La Llorona fell from 7 to 10. Captain Marvel 5 to 11. Shazam 8 to 12. Dumbo 9 to 13. Little 10 to 4. Student of the Year 2, sure, debuted at number 15. Amazing Grace 14 to 16. Pet Cemetery 12 to 17. Us 13 to 18. Red Joan, okay, 17 to 19. And finally, El Chicano fell from 11 to 20.
Wait. What's El Chicano?
I haven't the faintest clue.
Because unless it's a biopic about Madonna,
It's from some studio named Briarcliff, and it made less than $300,000 this past weekend.
Okay, it's clearly nothing to do with Madonna then, because his name alone would jack up the takes.
All right, where we stand worldwide.
Oh, I know what El Chicano is. Never mind. Yeah, that looked awful. I remember a trailer I saw for it. It's a crappy, like, Mexican Punisher. It's just stupid.
So
I was mostly just laughing when you brought up La Llorona because wasn't there a news article that some theater accidentally started playing that instead of the
yeah.
Oh, I would if I worked in a movie theater. I would have so done that.
Aw. You shouldn't hurt children.
That is a profoundly inaccurate statement.
Builds character.
All right.
Children. There's a difference between abuse and hurt.
All right. So in your top 10 movies currently are Endgame. Obviously, nothing's touching that until Rise of Skywalker comes out, and even then, Captain Marvel at number 2, The Wandering Earth at number 3, and that's a foreign Chinese Chinaman movie. How to Train Your Dragon is still at number 4 with $517 million. Alita: Battle Angel $404 million. Shazam I don't know what. I think I said it was going to get to 500. It's not, apparently. It's petered out.
Boy, the bottom dropped out of that thing in a hurry, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it made its money, but it's still getting a sequel. But yeesh.
That has to be something of a disappointment. I mean, and again,
well,
not that it
considering
did
Aquaman,
badly.
who only a few months ago did $1 billion, yeah.
Well, Aquaman also was a more expansive story and didn't have any real opposition.
Yeah.
I mean, still,
I personally, I think Shazam was better than Aquaman. Aquaman was amazing visually, but we talked about this on the show. It's very much the hero's journey. Shazam, I felt, had a much better actual storyline, a better story arc.
Plus, look, Zach Levi is a better actor and better screen presence than Jason Momoa.
Except that I think Jason Momoa actually has more draw. Not to mention,
That's
I mean, as much as it crapped out at the box office, he had the lead in for Justice League. So,
Have you ever seen Jason Momoa? Not as big as you think he is.
Yeah, apparently he's really short. He's like Tom Cruise short. Dumbo comes in at number 7. Another All Hail the Mouse. That one petered out at about $344 million. Us, 253. Glass. Jesus, Glass is still in the top 10. 247. And the Lego Movie at $190 million. Pokemon's currently sitting at number 11.
I don't think this cracks the top 10 for any appreciable length of time.
No, as I said, I fear it's probably getting to about $300 million, then it dies, which is fine. It's just about profitable. As I said, they've already greenlit the sequel to it, so it's like, meh, whatever. I mean, next week it's big. No, it's not even like competition. This coming week is John Wick, and the only other kids. Ooh. And the only other kids' movie is A Dog's Journey, and I don't. I hesitate to say no one will go see it because dog people will go see it, but I mean, like, how many to really?
Well, look, on behalf of dog people, it's about 50-50.
And then the following week is Aladdin, and that's kind of going to be the end of it because all the kids are going to go see that. And
they released a clip today of Will Smith singing Prince Ali. The hate on Twitter is pretty fucking massive.
Well, can I just say this about Aladdin after I saw a few of the trailers that involved Will Smith? Yeah, actually. I don't think Will Smith is going to do a bad job, but I think everything he does is just going to make me miss Robin Williams.
Here, let me say this, and then we're dropping the subject. If he puts his own spin, and this is already in danger of not happening, but giving the devil its due. If he comes to it with his own unique performance, his own spin on the character, I think it'll be fine. He still has a lot of presence and a lot of ability. If he does a Robin Williams impression, this thing craters on impact.
True.
I agree.
In fairness, it's probably going to crater his performance is probably going to crater either way. The question is whether or not it'll be justified.
We shall see. I mean, their record is about 70% with these live action remakes. But even if this thing fucking tanks, the Lion King's up right after this. Who gives a shit?
In fairness, I think the Lion King's the one that might sneak, and that might be a sneaky tank rather than this one. This one that had some opposition. Again, I expect Lion King to make $1 billion. I expect Aladdin to make $1 billion, give or take, but. There's just a few things about each of them that kind of makes me a little bit leery.
So getting back to the topic in hand with Detective Pokemon and saying, well, how much in the way of children's fare does this have as competition? You've got Aladdin, but let's say nobody goes to see Aladdin because it looks like a hot piece of garbage. You've got a few weeks, and then June 7th is going to roll around, and The Secret Life of Pets 2 is coming out, and it's going to roll over anything related to children. It's just,
it'll have a good week.
I don't know. So, I mean, that one also made $1 billion, I think, when it came, the first one came out.
I don't think it did.
I'll go back and check, but I'm pretty sure.
It made a lot of money.
It did well, yeah. And, the Illumination Studio is kind of a hit factory. That being said,
Secret Life of Pets made $875 million.
Oh, no!
It did well, but that's not $1 billion. Again, it only had a $75 million budget. It was a smash success. I'm not saying anything to the contrary. I'm not saying it's not successful. I'm saying it didn't make $1 billion, and it was, again, over $100 million off.
I think
so...
if you're a parent and you take your kids to like children's movies, this thing has got a lot of buzz. You know, does the
Well, I was going to say, it looks like they managed to carry it and not have to worry about, what happened to Louis C.K.
No, nobody gives a shit. Patton Oswalt, you know, it took over that role, and it's an animated feature for kids. If any kid notices that it wasn't Louis C.K. and it's Patton Oswalt, I will eat my hat. I will eat my detective hat.
You don't have a detective hat, and
You don't know that.
Yes, I do. For the record, Louis C.K. is a much funnier individual than Patton Oswalt.
And then 2 weeks after that is Toy Story 4, which looks like a hot pile of shit, but it'll probably, but it looks like,
Remind me of that.
but it'll
Bo Peep is
probably,
back, and this time it's personal.
but at least, but it'll do fine. It's a Pixar movie; people will go see it. You know, it has name value. All right, so just to move things along here, I think we're going to move on to the next part of the podcast, unless anyone has any burning desires about the money they want to bring up. No? Moving on. That's, I talked over somebody. Does somebody really want to say something?
All hail the mouse.
Terrific.
Not the electric one.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Ugh. Morgan Troper of The Stranger, Seattle, Washington.
Well,
At most...
That right there is just
Yeah.
a giant negative.
At most, Pokemon Detective Pikachu is akin to an Olympic skater gracefully recovering from a misstep. It's an extremely impressive mess. Like, I didn't get messed from this. The one thing that kind of escaped me was where did Ryan Reynolds' body come from? But other than that, it was a pretty straightforward movie.
Yeah, it seemed pretty solid.
I just remembered this is going to be really difficult to do since Robert didn't actually see the movie to judge these opinions, but
Doesn't mean I can't tear apart. Look, enough of these are just going to be fundamentally badly written that I can tear apart them on their own merits rather than what they're actually talking about.
Robert, all you really need to know to judge this movie, there is a scene of Pikachu sadly wandering on a bridge, and as we cut to him, we hear him singing, "Gotta Catch 'Em All."
Hang on. Which version?
I think the original from the anime. He only sings a few notes of it, but yeah, I think it's the original.
Because there's actually this is one of those hotly debated things about which version of the Gotta Catch 'Em All theme is the superior one. Most people seem to lean towards the Johto one, despite the original being the one everyone seems to remember.
all right. Thomas Ernst of Original Sin, and then Sin is spelled with a C. Get it? Cinema? Get it?
Boy,
Sin?
aren't we just... Look, I'm glad you came up with that idea 20 years ago while you were wearing your bedazzled quasi-Punisher beanie. Good for you.
Well, we are in for such a treat.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu doesn't quite manage to create a coherent story out of its convoluted mythology.
Of course not. The Pokemon story... Like, even the games aren't even that coherent narratively.
But this was coherent.
Yeah. I was going to say, the story may have had a few minor plot holes here and there, but it was a coherent story. I don't think anyone has actually, jumped off saying the script was garbage.
There's a bit of Deus Ex Mewtwo, but other than that...
Yeah. That was,
Deus Ex Mewtwo, I like that.
Yes, I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they created a god character. That was the least of my problems with the movie. Evan Dossie, Midwest Film Journal, hampered by a miscast leading voice and a mystery without much flavor. Detective Pikachu feels more like a great tech demo than a satisfying adventure.
Why did my dad die is a mystery without much flavor.
Seriously, what were they expecting? Chinatown? Forget it, Pikachu. It's Pallet Town.
Oh. Okay, no. Now I demand a Chinatown remake cast entirely with Pokemon.
I second that.
Yeah,
Get,
that'd be good.
Get your pitch together. We'll take it to Hollywood. I'll help you with it.
It ends with Professor Oak pulling a dejected Ash Ketchum and Pikachu away as Misty is led back to the gym by her sisters with "Forget it, Ash, it's pallet town."
I guess that's funny if you're into Pokemon.
It is.
I'm laughing.
All right, Ian Thomas
I'm thinking,
Malone.
wait a minute, Misty wasn't from Pallet Town. But anyway, go on.
No, but that's just where the final scene takes
Oh,
place.
okay, all right.
No, Palatown was the first one that came to mind because that's the original town from the first game, and it just sort of rang off. It sounded better than saying Lavender Town.
I hope to God fans of Pokemon are enjoying this review. Review in quotes. Ian Thomas Malone. Come on, say it.
What you saw? You didn't say what outlet he writes for.
Ian Thomas Malone.
Okay, you self-employed loser.
Thank you. Reynolds is Pikachu.
No. You pretentious self-employed loser because your 3 names are that important.
Reynolds' Pikachu is too much of a good thing, never building on an amusing foundation until a clunky attempt to establish some sense of narrative payoff in the third act.
Oh, how horrible. They gave you too much of a good thing.
I mean, that does, of course, raise the question: if it's actually a good thing, can you ever have too much of it, or is it simply a okay thing, and then your repeated exposure just reveals all the inherent annoyances and flaws that exist within the whatever we happen to be talking about? And so, look, Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu, that's kind of cute, and oh god, after about 20 minutes, it's just nauseating. Go away.
Speaking of nauseating, go away. Dan Murrell of Screen Junkies.
That is how you do a segue.
There we go.
Underwritten. Has some appealing characters, a lot of empty spectacle. In other words, the first summer blockbuster of 2019 is here.
I get the feeling that some of these reviewers are just trying to find a sneaky way to say, my favorite Pokemon didn't show up in this. Yeah, well, I didn't see a Vulpix, and you don't see me crying.
Did he not count Avengers Endgame as a summer blockbuster? Because
I think he's utilizing a summer starting point for more of a calendar thing, which is still inaccurate, by the way. The first day of summer is not until June.
I think he's just being cynical. I mean, it's an okay movie, and those are the hardest ones to really come up with anything, good to say about them.
Wait, was there a Growlithe in this?
Yes, multiple.
Oh, good.
Okay, well,
because Fluffy Boy is best boy.
I state, first of all, I do love Growlithe, but in all fairness, actually, I can't tell from the movie. If
Well,
it was
Arcanine, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing is that you don't really get a good size scale from them in the movie, but you definitely see tiger striped puppy dogs, so you know it's one of the two, and that is another one of my favorites. So yes.
Yeah, look, big fluffy fire dog is just the best thing in the world. I would love an Arcanine.
They are gorgeous. I love them.
But yeah, you have to find a reason to justify your salary beyond. Yeah, it was all right.
True.
what did you do last night? I don't know. I did a podcast with 3 other people who kept using nonsense words all night.
Mark, that's how I felt every time you said, "Hey, Detective Pikachu's coming up." Wait, what?
Sarah Knight Adamson of Sarah's Backstage Pass.
Self-employed loser.
A confusing narrative.
Okay, hang on. Just stop for 1 second. I haven't seen this movie. All right, let me be very clear about this. Based on the plot synopsis that I was given, the plot synopsis that I read, I have no earthly idea how you could be confused by this. If your point is you don't like it was overly convoluted and they tried too hard to kind of do some...
But it wasn't!
Hang on. Would you let me make my point? And again, this is just I'm simply critiquing their point. If what they're trying to say is it's, a quasi-overwritten, pseudo-convoluted, kind of stupidly written thing where they tried way too hard to do a hard-boiled detective story, then okay, that's a point of comparison. That doesn't seem to be not only does that not seem to be valid based on what you've said, they're actually phrasing it badly because that doesn't mean it's complicated or convoluted. It just means your very, very tiny brain's capacity could not keep up with a children's movie.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, critics, for those of you who have this issue with films, stop texting your friends that you're so upset to be watching this lame kids movie. Put down your phone, look up to where the screen is, and there might be some information on it that might help you understand the story.
Darn right.
Just a thought.
A confusing narrative does little to enhance the film. Although it is a gorgeous display of animation with stunning colors, it's impossible to follow. My fucking kids could follow what was happening. And my daughter talks through the movies.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like an accurate complaint.
No.
Again, even if you're confused about where the bodies went, like we had to explain earlier, you still get the general idea of what happened.
It's like the last 2 minutes of the film. I'm not going to apologize for not understanding the finer points of what the character did with the body. But again, up to that point, it was a pretty straightforward narrative. Sarah Mars on Laney Gossip. It will work on small children who don't know better, but woe betide anyone else who gets dragged along.
I mean, look, on the one hand, credit for using woe betide correctly.
Nope, that got a snort from me.
You get some minor credit. On the other hand, shame on you for trying to shoehorn it into your review.
Yeah, sorry. There are certain phrases that when you put them in a movie review about Pokemon, it doesn't make you sound smart. It makes you sound pretentious.
It says significantly more about the writer than it does about the subject.
Agreed.
Mario Allegre of Proxima Tanda. Take Who Framed Roger Rabbit, remove everything that was fun about it, replace the cartoons with Pokemons, and add a PG-rated Deadpool. And this kiddie film noir is what you'd get.
Fair enough.
That is nothing like this film.
Yeah.
Again,
okay,
I'm not in a position to critique that one.
Okay. Little thing about me, guys. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is actually my all-time favorite movie.
Well, it's a great movie.
Remember me, Eddie!
When I kill you, I'm not doing that. I'm not ripping out my voice.
We can't do what Christopher Lloyd could do with his voice.
I might have been able to hit that note, but I will wake my children and no, pass.
I'm just
Alexa, do Judge Doom.
God. No, but no, I don't compare this really to. I mean, yeah, the base points are there to compare to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it's not the same storyline at all.
But that's like comparing The Lord of the Rings to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because there too was an interaction between an animated character and a live-action character. That's literally the only point of similarity.
No. I'd say there's a couple of other points of similarity in this instance.
But on the bright side, they were able to repurpose their Happy Time Murders review, so I guess, hey, good for you.
Fair enough.
I don't like that. I mean, yeah, there's the idea of interacting with the fictional race and the detective being the main character. But at the same time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit could be seen very easily as a parallel to civil rights for people who are underclass, considering that Toons are looked down on and not given the same rights. That's one of the pinnacles of that storyline. Pokemon are celebrated in Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu is not trying to solve a case just because, it'll clear his name or because he wants, the same treatment as Tim Goodman gets. That never comes up.
He just wants coffee.
Yes. How did we go this whole thing without mentioning that this Pikachu is addicted to caffeine?
It is a choice he can stop whenever he chooses.
Javier Portafuz of La Nacion, Argentina. There is a lack of tension and intelligibility.
Tension, sure. Intelligibility, no.
I can't speak to the movie, but I'd buy tension just because kids' movie. And let me be very clear about this: kids' movies are not all devoid of tension, but there's usually a lack of it. That's probably fair.
So here's one for you guys. This one right to the heart of the matter. Brian Truitt of USA Today, top critic. Your feelings about Pokemon Detective Pikachu probably hinge on if you can tell a Squirtle from a Bulbasaur. No, then you might not care one Jigglypuff.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably not accurate.
I'm going to give him an A for effort.
I'm going to say that's not how you use the word Jigglypuff in a sentence. The Squirtle Bulbasaur thing I'll actually give credit for, but you don't give one Jigglypuff. That makes no sense. Those bad use.
So I
Bad
don't
use.
know what any of those things are, and I gave a fair review of the movie. So this is
I would have
this
said
is already null.
Oh, what's one of the stupid Pokemon whose name kind of sounds roughly like a dirty word?
Pikachu?
No. Stunfisk, Garbodor,
Jesus Christ,
Trubbish.
this is another one that thinks this was a convoluted plot. Like,
Who's confused by this?
We have really let our standards down as far as like film criticism and movie watching.
I guess
That's
so.
why we do this bit.
Tom Glasson of Concrete Playground. A convoluted plot and constant exposition dumbed down this live-action Pokemon film to a level that even kids will find silly. Well, no, and no.
I mean, it's a detective story. Yeah, there's going to be significant exposition dumps.
Yeah,
Especially
maybe if you listen to it, you'd understand the story.
And again, a really great detective story will avoid exposition dumps, but anything less than the very, very best of them do have more copious amounts of them in there.
All right, and this one comes from the resident communist of the bunch, Ed Whitfield of the Outre. Outre.
Really? That's the name of his outlet?
Yeah. How to tell today's tots that once going to the movies was about selling them stories, not related products.
Okay, seriously. Again, when they hear detective, are they freaking expecting Chinatown? Because it's a kid's movie. It's like, yes, the word detective is in there, okay? But that doesn't mean you're going to get something freaking Hitchcockian.
Well, you explain it to them by this. Once upon a time, Star Wars wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
All right, and now a word from
And
Robert.
the world was a better place.
And now a word from Robert's spiritual father, Roger Moore of Movie Nation.
Hi, Dad.
Stuffed and overstuffed pablum.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Those aren't words that are to be used that way. That barely qualifies as an actual review.
Yeah.
I don't know who chose that as the snippet, but they did a piss poor job.
James.
I don't even know.
Connor was
I
the
don't,
better
I don't
critic
even know
anyway.
the word pablum. What is that? I don't even know what that word means.
Oh, let me. Bland or insipid intellectual fare, entertainment, etc., etc. It's also a processed cereal for infants, marketed by the Johnson Company in 1931.
Moving on. James Berardinelli of Real Views, top critic. Pokemon Detective Pikachu isn't a movie. Yes,
it is.
It's a cog in a multi-billion-dollar media empire, a soulless feature-length example of product placement at its most blatant.
Okay,
Ooh,
this is our
edgy person, you.
This is our communist review. Boy, I'm sure glad you got to write that review wearing your Che Guevara shirt, smoking up and just lamenting once again that boy Bernie Sanders sure would have made a swell president. You freaking loser.
You are contributing to the communist progression by not being able to make any money at your job.
Now, look, I've teased you guys
It's
about...
fair, that is the most communist thing of all.
I've teased you guys about being Pokemon fans, and in all honesty, you love what you love. I have my things, you have your things, we have things that we share together. It's all good, and there are no judgments here, just playing around. This guy, however, thinks you're all a bunch of assholes. Phil Villarreal of ABC Tucson. Reynolds and his fans deserve better.
No, they don't.
Pokemon fans deserve this.
Yeah, no.
Did
First
he
of-
run out of clouds to yell at?
Yeah. I mean, it's Tucson, so probably.
And what else do they do in Tucson?
I used to live around there, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for about a year, I was out very young. My dad was stationed at a military base down there, right near the border. I forget which fort. Yeah, I was there for about a year. Moved from there to North Dakota.
I don't
Bit of a climate shock. Anyway, this moron. What makes you think Ryan Reynolds deserves better? Just full stop. Let's just analyze that point for 1 second. Ryan Reynolds deserves better. Did he not get paid? Did he not cash the check?
This movie, okay, Ryan Reynolds. Okay, actually, there is something I do want to bring up that we didn't talk about here. The Ryan Reynolds quote-unquote movie YouTube release.
Oh, yes. I was hoping
Yes.
we'd get to that.
Yes, there was an article came out that said Ryan Reynolds had leaked the entire Pokemon movie onto YouTube, and everyone was like trying to figure. What killed me was that everyone was sharing this article and talking about, why would Ryan Reynolds do this? Doesn't he have faith in the movie? Without actually clicking on the link, which is essentially a Pikachu version of a Rickroll. It's Pikachu dancing for quite some time to. I don't even remember what the song was that they
Please
chose.
tell me it was actually Never Gonna Give You Up.
No, it
No.
was like 80s sounding music, but there were no words.
Now it's become a game of find the best song that actually goes along with Pikachu dancing. So far, I don't know if you guys have ever watched The Fairly Odd Parents, but Butch Hartman did Pikachu dancing to My Shiny Teeth and Me, and it's almost perfect.
What really sells it is that if you look at the actual time of the video, it's the time of the movie length.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a constant. It's a very long loop of Pikachu dancing, but
That's pretty. That's clever.
But that's just Ryan Reynolds. He would not have made this movie if he thought he was, this is below me, or, I guess I'll do this for my
Look,
kids.
no studio executive put a gun to his head and said, "Dance, monkey."
Yeah,
No,
he
Ryan-
gave this one Deadpool level promotion.
Ryan
To be
Reynolds,
fair, Deadpool also sucks.
Yeah, but the promotion is brilliant.
Usually, yes, that's very true.
let's face it, Deadpool exists solely for one reason only, to retcon the end of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
And it is completely justified on that alone.
I agree.
That is not true.
Have you seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
I'm not defending the movie. Okay, let me be very clear about that.
No one can.
Okay, no. Okay, hold on. If you actually want me to, I can defend two things about that movie.
Mark,
Exactly
you're never
two.
going to bed, man.
I'm just, at this point, I've lost interest in what you guys are talking about, and I'm trying to think about what movie has Ryan Reynolds done where it's like, oh, he doesn't deserve this. This is a man who creates art. So let's go over his last 10 movies.
Okay, no. Look, let me start with this. Ryan Reynolds was in Blade Trinity. Everyone in that movie deserves to be kicked in the crotch repeatedly.
Okay. Actually,
Ryan Reynolds was in Green Lantern.
well, that's where I want to start this. Okay, so between 2011 and 2019, he's been in the following pictures. Are you ready? Starting with Green Lantern. After that was The Change Up. Then he was a narrator in something called The Whale, Fireflies in the Garden, Safe House, The Croods, where he did a voice, Turbo voice, R.I.P.D., The Captive, Women in Gold, Selfless, Mississippi Grind, Deadpool, Criminal 2016, Life 2017, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Deadpool 2, and now Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, this is not a guy who deserves anything.
I mean, I don't know. Some of these I don't know what they are, so maybe they're artistic gems.
No, they're not. None of
Just
them.
don't bother sitting through R.I.P.D. I made that mistake.
Look, Jeff Bridges having to walk around interacting with the world as a beautiful woman is moderately amusing once or twice. Everything else about that movie is just ass.
Just watch Men in Black again.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm just
Heck,
looking
watch
at-
Men in Black. Watch
No,
any of the Men in Black movies. That includes both 2 and 3.
That movie, actually, what kills me is that when you see Ryan Reynolds in movies, you can usually tell that they just let him let loose and have fun. R.I.P.D. is the movie that they told Ryan Reynolds, sit down and be quiet. We're letting Jeff Bridges have fun.
In fairness, Jeff Bridges is better than Ryan Reynolds in everything.
So my point being, it's like it's not. I mean, maybe like I said,
This
maybe there's a
isn't Patrick-
Joel in here, but yeah, he's not Patrick Stewart.
He's not Patrick Stewart on American Dad going butt stuff.
What was the one episode where he parodied the Lorax at a strip club?
I don't know. Look, and in fairness, I'm okay with that because I know Patrick Stewart is choosing to do that because he's Patrick freaking Stewart. But if you look at sure, Patrick Stewart deserves better than any loose association with.
Here's
Seth
one.
MacFarlane.
This isn't Anthony Hopkins in Transformers: The Last Night.
Oh God!
See,
You have
Anthony
to make it all wretched.
Anthony Hopkins deserved better.
Yeah,
Why-
there are cases where that is an appropriate sentiment. At no point in the history of Ryan Reynolds' career has it been appropriately attached to him. Never.
No.
Stop it.
Moving on. Let's see here. Peter DeBruge of Variety, top critic.
Ugh, Variety.
Its
You work
box,
for a rag.
its box office should demonstrate fans' hunger for a more robust big screen version of the Pokemon universe, while the disappointment needed to dissuade another team from coming along and doing it right. Okay.
Wow, I
How's
thought
that-
they nailed it
hang
pretty
on.
good.
That might actually be that he might actually have a kernel of a point within that. This isn't going to blow. This is not smashing the world, right? Like this movie couldn't dethrone Avengers in its third week. It couldn't take number one in Japan, where this IP is based. It's going to make money. It's got a sequel greenlit, but I think the nature of its reception and the reaction to it is going to, rather than encourage and when I say risks, I don't mean shocking risk, but rather than doing anything interesting, it will encourage more bland repetition than anything creatively interesting.
I'm going to read these two back to back, and we're going to call it a night here. Ben Kenigsberg of New York Times, top critic, and Adam Graham of Detroit News, once again, top critic. This is 1 hour and 44 minutes of Pikachu short-circuiting your brain, and oil and water, toothpaste and orange juice, good decisions in Florida, some things just don't go together, and you can add Ryan Reynolds' voice and Pikachu to that list.
Okay.
You went to the bar instead of seeing the movie, didn't you?
I get the feeling this is one of those people who just can't fathom the idea of hearing Ryan Reynolds' voice and seeing anything but Deadpool.
I mean, A, Deadpool sucks. B, Ryan Reynolds kind of sucks. C, neither of those preclude his voice from being okay from his performance working within the context of the movie. None of you complained about it.
I thought you could tell Ryan Reynolds was having fun. I point to him releasing that whole Pikachu Rickroll thing as proof that he was really passionate about the project and he enjoyed himself.
Did you see the Becoming Pikachu video?
Does he cut off his arms and legs and dye himself yellow?
No, but he stops picking up his daughter from school because Pikachu wouldn't do that.
Okay, that's good. Does he stop harassing Hugh Jackman?
Never.
I don't know, but I kind of want him to keep doing that because he's great at it, and Hugh Jackman is too. Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
well-
find that interview that he did with him, and it's just fantastic.
All right.
Tricking him, showing up with an ugly sweater when no one else was kind of hilarious.
All right, tomorrow on the Metal Hammer of Doom, shut up and kiss me, folks. It's Whitesnake, Flesh and Blood. Whitesnake, simply the greatest band in the history of American rock and roll and metal. Whitesnake, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic.
None of that is accurate. None of that
Whitesnake is incredible. So talented. David Coverdale is just the best. So we'll review the new...
No, keep going, because they're not that good.
So we'll review the new Whitesnake album tomorrow on the Metal Hammer of Doom. On Thursday, after I wipe the tears out of my eyes watching an hour-long Big Bang finale. Oh, my goodness. 10 years of watching that show.
Mark, the only tears you should be crying are tears of rage that it's still on the air.
No, it's so good. My God.
Mark, stop.
Oh, my God. It's
I put up with a lot of your trolling about that crap. Just stop.
How this hasn't won more primetime Emmys,
seriously?
I'll never know.
Stop.
So anyway, once I'm done in mourning the end of the Big Bang Theory...
You are not going to mourn the end of the Big Bang Theory.
Do you realize that my wife got me into watching that show? So I've watched the show for as long as I've been with her. Longer, as a matter of fact. Well, longer than we've been married.
That's because it won't actually end.
But anyway,
It's hell.
After I've
The
picked
Big Bang Theory is actual hell, which is just the repetition of its nauseating, pandering bullshit.
After I pick myself off the floor because it's too much to bear that this wonderful show is over, myself and Sean Comer will try to do a podcast called On Trial about the Disney iteration, live-action iteration, starring Oliver Platt, The Three Musketeers.
That movie is better. If you give me the option of having to watch that movie on repeat for the duration of The Big Bang Theory's entire series runtime, give me that movie.
It doesn't even compare. Big Bang Theory is amazing.
Nothing about Big Bang Theory is amazing, apart from how bad it is.
Next week,
Kaley Cuoco isn't even that attractive. He could do better.
Next week, Source Material is doing Blood Ties. I wasn't on that show because I was watching my wife not win her award for excellence in teaching. To win some, you lose some.
She was robbed.
She was robbed. No, actually, some of the people that won
by someone else in the parking lot because Florida.
Waka waka. No, we saw some of the people who did win that award, and there were a lot of nominees in each category, and it was like, yeah, you didn't like pick up a kid and carry him around the classroom or send him a singing telegram or anything like that. You're not winning this thing. We'll be back on this ridiculous show called Damn You Hollywood. It'll be just myself and Robert, and we'll be discussing John Wick 3, Parabellum.
Oh, finally, a movie that isn't going to suck.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey.
They should put it as a pull quote on the box.
Look, in all seriousness, I love the John Wick series. These are my kind of movies, man. They are great.
Kung Fu movies?
I am looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to enjoying myself in the theater finally.
Well, this Friday I'm having a bone marrow biopsy, and after that I'm going to watch the first two John Wick movies. We'll see which is more painful.
Come on, Mark. Come on.
Oh, look at me. I'm Keanu Reeves, and I'm shooting guns because my dog died. Oh, boy. We'll see.
Look, there's a lot of movies.
No! I'm Keanu Reeves. I was in a movie where I stopped bullets with my hands, and now I'm a big tough guy. Oh, boy, John Wick.
Hey, look,
starring Canadians in a row. Nice.
I am not the biggest Keanu Reeves fan in the world. Let me be very clear about this. There are plenty of movies I would rather take a bone marrow biopsy than watch. None of them are John Wick.
They're doing a third Bill and Ted's movie next year.
Speaking of movies I would rather have a bone marrow biopsy.
Hey,
I'm oddly optimistic about that one.
It's on the schedule.
Okay, look, what, 80% of the movies we reviewed last year, didn't I actually say, can't I get chemo instead of watching these like you?
Hey, look, you want to take CAR T for me and somehow, by osmosis, cure my cancer? I'm all willing to try this idea.
Hey, if me going through that would aid you in your recovery, I would do it. Getting out of crappy movies is just a byproduct.
The Metal Hammer of Doom will be reviewing the new Eluvidi. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll be doing a long road to ruin on the first two John Wick movies. And then, because I can't stop podcasting, and I got to get as many in before July as I possibly can, apparently, myself, Pat Mullen, and this one over here, Robert Winfrey, will be doing a TV party tonight for the Netflix movie, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Maybe Pat and I will be doing commentary for Austin Trout versus Terrell Gosha, but probably not. Is there anything else that night? No. Oh, you know what's that night? No, we won't be doing that because I'll be watching AEW Double or Nothing if I can figure out if Spectrum carries it on pay-per-view.
They won't.
And if they do, we'll be doing a TV party tonight on Sunday with the gang that did Civil War 2 on Source Material. We're calling ourselves the Four Podsmen for some reason. We'll be doing a TV party tonight for AEW Double or Nothing, and we'll see if this wrestling
which can't possibly be worse than Civil War 2.
We'll see if they're as snarky on Double or Nothing as they were on All In. And then finally, we closed out May with World War Hulk, Damn You Hollywood for Aladdin, Sworn Enemy, myself, and Mrs. Hana. That's your new name from now on because I can't say your first name apparently without setting off my echo.
World War Hulk is a terrible
Or you
comic.
just disconnect the stupid thing.
We'll be reviewing mostly the last season of Game of Thrones, but we'll talk about the whole series, much like Sean and I did for Weeds. I finally get a break on Friday, and then Saturday, myself... June 1st, the day before my birthday, myself and Pat Mullen will be doing commentary for Anthony Joshua versus Andrew Ruiz Jr. You think you'll be done with the UFC by then? Are you going to join us?
What day is that?
June 1st.
I know there's going to be a UFC event because there's 4 in the month of June.
Yeah, it's Gustafson versus Smith, but it's like the middle of the afternoon.
Gustafson versus Smith. Sorry, you said which day? June?
June 1st. June 1st.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 4th. My apologies. Gustafson versus Smith. I don't know what the start time is actually. That might be early. If it's early, fine. I'm down.
Okay. Yeah, I think it is. It's on DAZN, by the way. I don't know if that matters. So that's the calendar. That's the rest of the calendar for the month of May. As I said, you can check out our discussion of Civil War, Secret Invasion, Avengers Forever, Avengers Endgame, Cobra Kai, The Orville Season 2, Battle Beast, No More Hollywood Endings, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, She-Ra Season 2, and our commentary of Canelo versus Daniel Jacobs, where he won the fight 600-0. David, what do you got to plug, sir?
Nothing for this round, I'm afraid.
Terrific. Alexis, I hear you got to sell some shit. Go ahead and tell them about it. No, God damn it! Did it again.
Connecting to the internet. Take a look at the help section.
Alexis, stop. It's the 3rd time I've done that. Oh, curse you, Amazon. Curse you.
Do I have to go back to being a girl who's nuts about corgi butts just to avoid interruptions?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mrs. Hana. Please plug your lovely business.
It's Ms. Hana. I didn't take my husband's name.
Oh, indeed.
I bet you're still married.
Yeah. Sorry. Hana spelled with a J, and his name is Radulescu. We realized that neither of us were going to win anything if either of us took the other's name.
You should have hyphenated.
I'd like to get on a plane again sometime in the near century. Thank you.
Radulescu, wow. Have we talked about the fact that his name and my name are very similar?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You just can't remember because you were half asleep for the majority of the conversation.
It's like, Radulescu, how do you know that name?
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name? All right, for God's sake, you go.
So, yes, before I was so rudely interrupted by Skynet, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic, is having a big sale right now on both of our online stores. 15% off everything on our Etsy and Handmade at Amazon shops. That includes all of our wire-wrapped dice necklaces, all of our charm bracelets, all of our earrings, all of our hair barrettes and bobby pins / tie clips. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right, Robert, take me home, baby doll.
No. Last Saturday, I covered UFC 237, which was an event.
You want to see a girl get slammed on her head? Go check that one out.
True. Actual finish to that fight was Rose getting slammed on her head and neck and becoming unconscious because of it. Great finish. Also on that card, Jose Aldo lost his first 3-round fight in the history of his WEC/UFC run. Little Nog got knocked out. Anderson Silva suffered a knee injury after getting kicked in the leg 800 times. BJ Penn lost a fight, but because he arguably won a single round, a bunch of people are saying he shouldn't retire. No.
Are these the same people? Are these also Game of Thrones and Star Wars fans?
I don't know. I can't speak to the cross-section, but the number of people going, well, BJ won a round against Clay Guida in 2019, and he seemed to take a punch well, so he should continue fighting.
Why don't they both retire? How does that sound? Clay Guida sucked 10 years ago.
I know. Believe me, I was saying Clay Guida sucks when everyone else was still on the Guida hype train.
I remember Clay Guida had a fight in the summer of, maybe it was like 2000 and, it was when my daughter was like 2 or 3 years old. And I remember like we rented a house in North Carolina with my friends and their families and everything. And I was like, gather around, everyone. Clay Guida, he's amazing. You should all watch this fight. And it was the most boring, most non-eventful fight.
Was it him and Gray Maynard?
I believe it was him and Gray Maynard. Time stopped during this fight.
5 rounds. 5 rounds. Look, that's the point when everyone else realized I had been right for 3 years.
Yeah, that fight literally everybody in the house was like, I don't know why you watched this, and walked out of the room. Like, it was that bad.
It is that bad. It's a terrible fight.
Ugh.
Like every Clay Guida fight.
And that was like a decade ago.
Yeah, and he beat BJ Penn via unanimous decision. It was just the saddest thing in the world. Little Nog got knocked out. It was a decent event, not great, but decent. There was some interesting stuff if you liked the minutia of Volkanovski and Aldo, and I did. But on the whole, it was just kind of there. It was funny, like, on the main card, only one Brazilian won. Like, Anderson lost, Aldo lost, Little Nog lost.
And did the city in which this was held go up in flames?
No, because Jessica Andrade won the main event and saved a lot of people from just leaving being angry because...
We might have lost a lot of horses that day.
Look, Brazilians are not... I heard this... I saw this on Twitter, and I'm going to steal it because I think it's accurate. They're not actually MMA fans. They're just rabid nationalists and use MMA as a vehicle to express that.
Seems legit.
So I reviewed that. You can find my full report in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com. Jeff Harris and I talked about it. We also previewed this upcoming event, UFC Fight Night 152, which is not a very good event on paper, which lost half of its main event today when Neil Magny, of all people, had an issue with USADA.
Neil Magny is the size of my forearm.
And apparently failed a drug test.
What was he smoking, pot?
No, USADA doesn't test for that.
He was actually using a performance-enhancing drug.
I don't know the specifics. He's saying he had some issue with USADA that might be a failed drug test. It might be they get pissy about various medical procedures, like you can't have a non-approved administration of an IV. There's a lot of crap.
Okay.
Look, USADA.
I believe you.
Okay, I will not get on my USADA discussion then. So, some schmuck is stepping out on a week's notice to get murdered by Vicente Luque on like 6 days' notice. That's not a competitive fight.
They should have called CM Punk.
They couldn't get that sanctioned.
I mean,
he's
really good at losing fights.
They might as well have called me as opposed to CM Punk.
Could you have made the weight cut?
Nah, but that guy could just stop cutting weight. We'd fight at whatever I came in at. He'd knock me out cold, and that would be the end of it.
And you'd get your $1.50?
Yeah, something like that. So this Saturday we'll have live coverage of that event. So if you're interested, stop by again, the MMA Zone of 411mania.com, and you can follow along as I suffer.
Terrific. All right, folks, this was unbearable. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see. We'll see you next.
So in all seriousness, everyone, give Mark grief for this show. Let him know. I want someone out there, just once a day for the next 2 weeks, randomly tweet Mark the name of a random Pokemon.
Don't make us do it, please.
Just because he won't know what's going on.
One of the side effects of CAR-T is delirium. That would be the perfect time to do it. All right, so just wait till July, everybody. And with that lovely note, we hope you'll join us next week. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, though. And until then, be well, be safe, and behave.
Pika Pika.
We're blasting off again.